Hello everybody, this is Achaia Achaia bringing you another VOD here. Basically, I was able to get permission from Averick, whose account I am borrowing for the StarCraft 2 beta right now, to play some 1v1s in the ladder, so I have done just that. I played a handful of games and have been pretty successful so far, but this game actually stood out to me a little bit, so I thought I'd do a quick shoutcast on it and put it out there on the web for everybody to check out. Anyways, this is the blue Protoss player who I'm playing against. His name is Windz. And then, yeah, you can see here in the comment, this is the only single player map I ever get. That actually is largely true. It seems like every time I get into a 1v1, it's Blistering Sands. I think I've only played one other map, and that was Kulas Ravine. Anyways, down in the lower left-hand corner, this is me playing as the Red Zerg under Averick's account right now. Anyways, basically, I start with my initial spawning pool here at 10, and I'm not going to really use this as a tutorial build because I followed a basic general opener that I usually use, which is getting spawning pool early and then scouting and deciding what I'm going to go from there. So I didn't follow any particular build all the way through the game. It was just kind of a general opener. So I'll try to kind of keep you guys informed of what I'm thinking as I'm going through this replay here, so that you can at least kind of follow my thought process, and hopefully it makes a little bit of sense and helps somebody out there out. Anyways, not much to look at here on the overlays right now, other than you can see that the blue Protoss player is ahead of me slightly in population and resources currently. The reason that is because I go for the early pull so that I can get some Zerglings out, because I like to be able to scout with them, and I also like to be able to keep pressure on if they don't have any units out early on in the game. So anyways, the blue Protoss player is of course making use of his chrono boost here, which is very important throughout the game. And then what he's going to do here, which I find out later, is he's doing a fast expand and then he blocks off his choke with a lot of cannons. So when my initial Zerglings come out, I see that he's got this blocked out with cannons, and then I decide to go another route. But anyways, this initial economy boost, if you can hold on to it, he would have been you know, very, very far ahead of me, but fortunately when I saw that he had that blocked off, realized kind of what was going on and was able to adapt to that. As you can see, my Overlord's finally getting up into his base here. Once I get up here, I realize that there's nothing at his direct choke on the ramp, and then I also see a little bit of a chunk of his mineral options here, a pylon and his nexus, and how there's no buildings here. It's very uncommon for Protoss players to build in this area, at least initially, so I assumed that he was either down here trying to tech, or he had blocked off this entrance, which I initially I found out with my initial Zergling. And you can see he is going for the forge already, putting the forge down first and then the gateway, so he is getting ready to set those cannons up right now. Two of them warping in already. And back in my base, just to kind of let you guys know what's going on back here, I've got my roach horn going on because roaches are very, very good against Protoss. People initially thought that they were overpowered when they didn't know how to counter roaches in the beta, but fortunately now Protoss players have found ways to counter roaches, so it's not really overpowered. It's just one of those strategies you have to be aware of, because if a Zerg player is going roaches, you have to have the correct counters for it, or else you can get steamrolled by them pretty quickly. Anyways, here's my initial group of Zerglings. I just built 6 of them this time, which I know in my tutorials I built more than that previously. I built 16. So this Zergling rush initially is not designed to actually do any damage, so to speak. It's more so designed to scout out, and if I can, pick off a probe or two, which I don't get the chance to do here initially. And there's, I'll end up losing one of my Zerglings here, so I go around back. And if you haven't seen these before, these are destructible rocks, and this allows me a second passage into the Protoss player's base, which he didn't have anything. Usually what you can do is put a unit over here or build a building over here like a pylon or a supply depot if you're Terran. And what that'll allow you to do is have vision, so if they start attacking these rocks, you're aware of it and don't get blindsided by units rushing up in your base, which is what happened to this blue Protoss player. Because as you can see here, he's got his miners, he's got his assimilators, his nexus, and all that, and only one cannon in the very back of the base, and he built that there specifically because I had an Overlord there just kind of keep an eye out on what was going on. He is throwing down his cybernetics core here to start his tech pattern, and I see all his tech here in a little bit when I come in, but he does not build any defense up here at all, so all I bring up is a handful of roaches, a handful of lings, and I do a lot of damage to his economy. Going back to my base here, I do have my evolution chamber. And because I saw he was blocked off, my initial thought was that he might be doing a Void Ray rush, because that's very common for Protoss players to do against a Zerg player. Because if you can get 1 or 2 Void Rays out and the Zerg players are rushing roaches, they don't have any anti-air except for their queen, which means they can take down the queen and then their nexus if they're not prepared for it. And I've seen that happen to a few people, so I wanted to make sure that wasn't going to happen to me. I ended up throwing down a few spore colonies back here just to make sure that that's not what happens to me. Meanwhile, these rocks are just about gone. I've got a few roaches here, and I'm sending 4 more down. So a total of 7 roaches and 5 zerglings, I believe. 6 zerglings. So basically, this is my initial strike force, and going back to the Protoss player's base, again, the only defense they have right now back here in their main is this 1 cannon. They're starting to warp in robotics facilities because they're assuming that I'm going to go mass roaches, which assuming isn't necessarily a good thing to do in StarCraft, because if you build the wrong tech, then you pretty much get dicked over. But anyways, come back here. As you can see, he's got no defense, and that 1 cannon's out of range from where I'm attacking right now, so his probes are basically helpless to defend themselves. He starts bringing them over to try to fight, but I've got way more roaches than his probes can handle. Managed to take out most of his miners, and then I also end up getting this nexus, which sets him back pretty far. He does send the 1 zealot that he's built so far back, but it doesn't really do a whole lot for him. No Immortals building out of these robotics facilities just yet. And he does have a lot of money, so yeah, I guess he just started building them. So I'm guessing he was saving up so that he could build those Immortals, but if he would have had that money invested in other units, such as cannons, or even if he would have had some stalkers out, if he can focus fire down the roaches with some stalkers and zealots, then that usually works pretty well as well. Ideally, you would have an Immortal or 2 in the mix of that army, but you know, since he went for an early expansion, that wasn't really an option because he delayed his tech pattern significantly. At this point, since I noticed that he's got a secondary base, he's actually mining at it, I decided to go ahead and expand as well myself to make sure that I would have additional income as I'm going forward here. Here's the, I'm sorry, they're called spore crawlers. I called them spore colonies earlier. And then I also started going for hydralisks because I haven't seen a Stargate, but again, assuming that he's trying to tech something, which I was thinking would be Void Rays, I wanted to make sure I had some anti-air to handle that if that did indeed come.